Hey everyone. I've been wanting to share this for a while. This is just a video I've been wanting to make of just a compilation of really cool things that the Lord has been showing me. And I just felt really impressed to share this with you guys too, I think as an encouragement to his church. The first let me just say a few days ago, I woke up and I heard, or just a thought just dropped into my head. It felt like a voice, and it just said, "In a chariot up to heaven." And I thought that was really weird because I thought, okay, well, that's interesting because I just never thought of going up to heaven in a chariot. I always think if this is referring to the rapture, I just saw in my mind's eye, I just thought like angels would catch us up, or our souls would just be pulled up to God. I guess I don't really know how I expected it to happen, but it was interesting. It said up to heaven in a chariot. And then yesterday, I come across a video of somebody sharing a dream, either from them or their child, and they said that they saw chariots coming to collect us, like these big horses and fiery chariots, and being caught up to heaven in these chariots. And I thought, wow, I never even thought of that. So then I read this book, and this is an account of a man's experience in heaven. He died and was caught up to heaven. I don't know much about him. His name is Richard Sigmund, and the name of the book is My Time in Heaven. I'm sorry, everything's reversed on my camera, but it's he actually has somebody put videos about him here on YouTube. That's how I first learned of him. And this was the most detailed account of heaven I had ever heard. This man is a very godly man. I believe he's a minister, and everything he talks about, this book is full of scripture. He packs it full of he substantiates things with scripture. Whenever something happens, he goes and finds it in the Bible. I guess this is godly. And but there's something in particular I wanted to share about the chariot that he talks about, and a preparation for the rapture that he saw going on here. He said, "I was taken to an area where there were supernatural horse-like creatures. Some of them had wings, some had abilities that we don't have on earth, and they could walk on the air if they needed to. I saw thousands of chariots and beautiful horses to pull them. All the horses were entirely white. They had red hooves, fiery crimson red hooves, and huge nostrils, and they were about 10 to 15 times bigger than the biggest horses I'd ever seen on earth. They were there for a specific purpose. Some of it had to do with the rapture of the church. The prophet Elijah was taken up to heaven in a fiery chariot," in 2 Kings 2, verses 9 through 11. "And I can tell you there was a chariot there that was the Lord's. It was bigger and nicer than the rest, and it was pulled by the most awesome steed." So here he saw these horses and chariots getting ready for the rapture. How cool is that? Another really cool thing he talks about, and he was just in heaven for, well, actually, it seemed like a long time. I'm telling you, some of the most amazing details in here. But just before Jesus told him that he had to go back to earth, that he was going to be taken back so he can finish his work, Jesus said, "Before I come for my people, there are some prophetic signs I'm going to share with you." And some of the signs were he saw what he calls the tidal wave of God, the last great move of God before the end. And he said that the last great move of God will be in out-of-the-way places day and night. Signs and wonders will increase and be fought against, which I see going on all the time. I see some amazing things going on around our world right now that are just things that have never happened before, and it's getting explained away. And I'm wondering, in the Bible it says signs and wonders will increase in the last days, and I see that, but it's getting explained away, in the news at least. Then it said laws of physics will be suspended so that the miraculous can flow. Okay, I've seen that too. I shared in another video when I asked the Lord to protect me from false doctrine, and then I'm watching an evangelist who's preaching false doctrine, saying there was no rapture. Then my TV gets shut off, just like that. Like that never happens. And it was like frozen. I had to reboot the whole system. I mean, there's God or Jesus protecting me from false doctrine, and he made good on his promise. And being caught up in the Spirit, getting baptized, that's another thing I shared before. That's pretty miraculous. It says another thing that will happen, sevenfold tidal wave, the last great move of God breaking on the shores of eternity. The greatest part will be poured out in rural places. And Jesus told him, "I will seek my bride in humble places. I was born in a stable." And finally, here we go. Awareness is given my people in days and weeks just before my return. He's telling this guy right here, my people are going to know just before I come back. Awareness is going to be given them. Yes, we're all sharing our dreams here. We're going crazy. We're like, he's coming. And he's telling this man, they're going to know. He's confirming that. I'm so excited, guys. This is so awesome. Okay, so then, all right, so there's that book. Another one, which I have to share, guys, because I've been getting I don't know what happened with my last video. It's like the title, the floodgates just opened. I've gotten so many people. I'm getting so many comments. It's amazing. It's so humbling. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just so amazing. The people just reaching out to me, saying some wonderful things. I mean, I get a couple of jokers on there. We all do, but luckily a vast majority of brothers and sisters we're all pulling together. And I'm so grateful for your comments, your encouragement, your confirmations. It's blowing me away, the similarities that you guys are sharing with me, but what I'm saying with other people and what you've seen. Thank you so much for that. And I promise you, I'm reading the comments. I'm keeping up with them. I'm trying to every day. I may not be able to respond, but man, I'm so just, I don't even know what the words are, but just thank you so much for all the comments. And anyway, some people have been asking me about their relationship with Jesus, and I'm telling you, this book, it's amazing. It's by a man named K.P. Yohannan. He's a missionary. He gets pulled, he goes to third world countries just shrouded in darkness, people who don't know the gospel, never even heard of Jesus. And he goes and he has just made it his life work to do that. The name of the book is called Revolution in World Missions. Again, I apologize for it being reversed. But the best part is this book is free. If you go to his website, he's created a foundation called Gospel for Asia. And if you go to his website, they will send you free copies of this book. I think all they ask is to send you a newsletter or something in addition to that. So I'll put the link to that in my comment section. So anyway, K.P. Yohannan, he goes and this book is so amazing. First of all, he talks about the importance of obedience. And that is something I never really thought about. I thought, okay, I pray to God, I ask for forgiveness. But there's more to it than that. And I didn't realize I personally have I had a streak of rebellion in my life and just challenging authority and not realizing that authority figures placed in my life are people that God has placed in authority in my life. And I have to trust, even at somebody who I don't agree with, if they're in an authoritative position, I have to respect that. And these are things I just never thought of before, but this really began to get me on a new path. And I think it changed pretty much everything. So I highly recommend it. I feel like it's a powerfully anointed book. But man, let me read you some of this stuff. And this will be quick, I promise. But it's about the spiritual warfare going on around us. And I felt really called to share this book because so many of you were talking about these personal battles you're going through. And you're just feeling, you're needing some encouragement. And I don't think many people realize the power of the angels around us, of the power of prayer. But this man has seen it. He's seen the face of evil, and he's been sharing, and so many of these stories in here are just worthwhile. You just got to read them. Anyway, so this man is a missionary, and he's sharing a story of another missionary he's good friends with. It said, national missionary Hesuda, I think is how it's pronounced. Hesuda was horrified when he first visited one village and found no believers there. The people were all worshiping hundreds of different gods, and 4 priests controlled them through their witchcraft. Stories were told of how these priests could kill people's cattle with witchcraft and destroy their crops. People were suddenly taken ill and died without explanation. The destruction and bondage the villagers were living in are hard to imagine. Scars, decay, and death marked their faces because they were totally controlled by the powers of darkness. When Hesuda told them about Christ, it was the first time they had ever heard of a God who did not require sacrifices and offerings to appease his anger. As Hesuda continued to preach in the marketplace, many people came to know the Lord. But the priests were outraged. They warned Hesuda that if he did not leave the village, they would call on their gods to kill him, his wife, and their children. Hesuda did not leave. He continued to preach, and villagers continued to be saved. Finally, after a few weeks, the witch doctors came to Jesuda and asked him the secret of his power. This is the first time our power did not work, they told him. After doing the puya, I don't know what that means, we asked the spirits to go and kill your family, but the spirits came back and told us they could not approach you or your family because you were always surrounded by fire. Then we called more powerful spirits to come after you, but they too returned, saying not only were you surrounded by fire, but angels were also around you all the time. So guys, I mean, even the demons, it's interesting hearing it from the perspective of a demon, what they have to deal with and encounter when they are trying to attack a Christian. Guys, we are under so much protection. I don't think we realize the angels, the host of this legion of angels that are surrounding us, to protect God's people. We have yet only just to cry out to God, and he will send these angels to protect us. So, and I had another thing I wanted to share, if I still have this. One of the people who commented to me last night shared a story. They commented, it was a couple days ago, and I hope they don't mind me sharing this. It was out in public, so I assume it's okay. She was just sharing that first she was talking about one of her friends got her. It was a dark time in her life, and they got her into the Harry Potter books and everything, and she immediately began feeling under attack. I mean, she'd wake up with bruises and just like a sleep paralysis and bruises, and then one night some entity just was on top of her, and she was doing a battle with them and finally called out to Jesus, and this thing, after a few times of calling, she saw this thing actually leave her room. Then she shared that she said she watched a video about a guy who left witchcraft after finding out this demon, who was very powerful, apparently he had called this demon to go attack somebody. The demon came cowering back saying, "Don't send me ever to a Christian's house ever again." So you guys, I mean, if an angel isn't driving these things off, they're going after them with the sword and doing them in. Just know that we have such intense protection around us. So whatever you're feeling just overwhelmed or under attack, just know you just have called these angels. And while you still may be feeling the darkness around you, just know it's probably not even half of what is really going on. So I hope that encourages you guys. And I know it sure did me, just to know that whenever I'm at my lowest, that I just know that these guys are fighting for me. And we are so protected as Christians. And I just thought of another story, somebody who used to, a story somebody either told me or I heard of a man who used to astral project, and he would go and do curses on people's houses. He'd astral project into their house. And most times he would either make them sick or just do something that would make them so ill, he would lead them to death. I mean, this was pretty powerful, dark stuff. But he shared with his son that he could not get into one man's house in particular because there was a Bible study going on. And he would either get burned every time he came to the house, but he saw that this white glowing light coming from the house whenever there was a Bible study, he could not get into that house. So again, we are so protected. So just rest assured that we've got an army fighting for us. All right. So guys, don't ever underestimate the power of prayer. So anyway, I just had to share that, and I hope it encourages you guys. And God bless you, and thank you again for the wonderful things that you've been sharing with me. And I am trying to get back to you guys, and I hope I'm helping. So thanks again. God bless you.